Hello and welcome to 2.5 Brains. This is our weekly reality wrap-up show for The Survivor and The Amazing Race. This is recorded in November of 2023, and we're going to talk all about the latest episodes of Survivor and The Amazing Race here in the fall of 2023. We'll break it all down. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadprod. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. We're going to talk all about it here. Break it all down for you in just a moment. Obviously, I'll be talking about Survivor, and I'll bring Jessica as well. Talk about The Amazing Race as we get going here for this 9th week of the shows. So, Survivor this week. Another much ado about nothing episode, really. Another episode where a lot of stuff happened. A lot of, twists and excitement. Just for another, straightforward, pretty much vote. It was called The Blind Side. I don't think it was a blind side at all. If we would have gone on the episode, if I would have gone on the episode saying it's going to be one of these two people, it would have been one of those two people who were voted out, and I wasn't surprised by who it was at all. So, let's talk about it here. Return from tribal council after the Kelly blind side, and Kendra's really upset, sitting on the beach, kind of just like, hey Kelly, sorry, I miss you. I wish you were still here. Blah, blah blah. Really upset about the blind side, and pretty much emotionally beat up from that last vote. Her and Katura, Katura has slipped down a little bit, so not affecting her as much. But obviously their top ally is gone. And Kendra's kind of one of those people who's kind of too nice for the game. Really one of those people who, it doesn't really seem to have that killer instinct in her to betray people and all that stuff. I don't think she would have won anyway. I think she was going to go to the end. I think she was very primed to go to the end and lose to Kelly. So, but obviously with Kelly gone, they go to the next vote, or next vote, the next challenge, and it's a immunity/reward. And they break it down in the three different people, three different tribes, three tribes of three teams of three. And of course, they find out in Tree Mail they're gonna be breaking into three groups of three for the challenge. And they let them do it however they want to do it, which is interesting. They instead of doing it randomly, or they let them pick it how they want to do it. And Drew's like, hey, let's do it in a way that makes sense, where it's a stronger person, weaker person, and then a medium person on each team. And he says he did it that way because he wanted to put himself as the weaker person on the tribe, but also he's good at puzzles that might help. So the breakdowns were Bruce, Kendra, and Julie, Austin, Emily, and Katura, and then Jake, Drew, and Dee. And so basically how it is 3 rounds. Each round a team gets eliminated. Can't win immunity. And then the final round, the 3 that are left compete against each other for immunity. If you win, the team who finishes first, or who makes it all the way to the end and then competes for immunity, also gets reward. So if your team is out first, so the 3 teams, one goes out first, one goes out second, and then one goes to the end, and then they break it down individual and they compete individually. All 3 of those, by getting to the end, win reward, and they get food at chicken, basic rotisserie chicken at the sanctuary. Going back to the beginning, if your team is out first, however, all 3 of you lose your vote, and you have to go on a journey to try to get it back. So that's interesting. So an interesting twist there. So if you're the first one out of the challenge, you lose your vote. All 3 of you. All 3, the first team, all 3 of them lose their vote. So the challenge goes on. Bruce and team get through. D, Jake, and Austin get through. D, Jake, and Drew get through. And Austin, Emily, and Katura go out first. Can't get out of the first round, and all 3 lose their vote. Next, it is Bruce, Kendra, and Julie, who get through into the last round. And so they are all win reward, and then it's a battle to see who wins the immunity between those 3. And once again, Ken drops out, and then it's down to Julie and Bruce again. And it's one of those challenges where you have to hold your hand up on a disc on either side of you and hold it until it drops, and whatever. The original challenge before that was pretty decent. There's three legs of the challenge before leading up to that, obviously, and it was decent. An average challenge, nothing too crazy. But of course, in the showdown again, Julie versus Bruce has the same result as last time, with Bruce winning immunity. So they go to the sanctuary, they have some food, they talk about what they want to do, what the plan is, and so on. The other three go back to camp, and then it is Austin, Emily, and Katura who go on the journey to try to get their vote back. The journey is basically a giant math problem. It's like you have to add 3 pluses and a minus to these numbers to make it equal 100 or whatever it is. And they have 3 minutes to do it, and they go through it. And Austin's an MBA student, so he thinks he should be able to do it. And Emily, works with as a stock analyst, so she thinks she should be able to do it, but she's actually not great at math, despite being a stock analyst. And ultimately, Katura has no chance, doesn't get her vote back. Emily wasn't that close, doesn't get her vote back. Austin does get his vote back. They go back to camp, and they tell everybody that none of them got their vote back. They all lost their vote. Austin pulls Drew and Dee aside and says, hey, I actually did lose my vote. I got it back, so we can do whatever we want to do. And they're going to tribal council like, hey, 6 people potentially could be the ones voting. So we have to decide which way we want to go. And they're still at that point. They're still, it's like, okay, it could be interesting. Obviously, Austin did have his vote, so he was lying to the rest of the group. And Kendra was kind of surprised that people were lying about losing their vote or keeping their vote, which, welcome to Survivor, Kendra. So the idea was fine that all these people lost their vote, but the 6/7 who were voting kind of had to get on the same page, right? I mean, 4 votes, 3 votes really was going to be the difference. So as easy as it is to be like, hey, here's a twist, because now, there might be only 3 votes or 4-3 or whatever, so you can't have a huge, lopsided vote. It actually de-incentivizes or disincentivizes a move, because it's at 9 too, which is 9 is a good place to make a move usually. It takes away the opportunity to make a move, because you want as many votes stacked to one person as possible, because you don't really know who's gonna have their vote. Obviously, if you're Drew and Dee, you know who has their vote and who doesn't, because Austin told you. But everybody else, you just want to kind of throw all the votes on one person, to keep it from, being anything crazy happening. So it didn't really work out that way. It didn't really work out that it was going to be a twist or a shocking move. It kind of just was pretty straightforward. And the votes came in, and, they're talking about, it's got to be Jake, because he was, getting the votes last time. Jake's like, I'm trying to come back up. I wasn't playing the game very well. I'm trying to get myself back on track and get my reads back, reading people better than I was. And Kendra's, isn't expecting to be the vote, but she's like, well, they want to go after Bruce again. They still can go to Bruce. So Kendra's still there, and she was an ally of Kelly's, and there's no reason to keep her, because she's not really aligned with anybody at this point. She was close with Kelly and Katura, and they're both out of the numbers at this point. Everybody else is in control except for them. So, and Jake's on the outs, but again, he'll vote whatever they tell him to, just to keep himself in the game. So a vote comes out for Jake, and then the rest go down for Kendra. And Kendra's vote out comes the member of the jury. What did Kendra do wrong? She tried, I guess, to play the game, but really didn't do much of a good job. Didn't do a great job. It was just one of Kelly's numbers. And when Kelly went out of the game, that was it. She was bellow strong, and, really didn't have much going outside of that. Definitely seemed like a nice person, and, but didn't have really that killer instinct. Didn't really have that, ruthless gameplay ability. She figured everybody was telling the truth, and didn't really think about people were lying. It's like, welcome to Survivor, Kendra. Jake's far behind on his reads. Kendra's even further behind. And that's what Kendra did wrong. That's why she lost the game. And becomes the member of the jury. Again, they wasn't having high hopes for her to win, anyways. And it was one of those things, all this stuff with, an hour and a half of a show, to have all these, people, this one lost the vote, so we got their vote back. This one, only 6 can vote, only 5, 7 can vote, only blah, blah, blah. Bruce won immunity again, whatever, blah, blah, blah. All that just for, well, it was gonna be Jake or Kendra. So it's Jake or Kendra. Right? It was all and it was a lopsided vote on top of that. So, only a couple people are really playing the game well, and they're still in it. We'll see if one of them wins the game. If not, it's gonna be even worse because the level of gameplay this season is very, very low. There's one big move that got Kelly, and that's it. There's nothing else. Everything else has been very straightforward. Anybody's not in the numbers, that they get a big number of people and they get in a smaller group inside that a bit bigger group, and that's it. Even last season there was, a group of 3 that stayed strong through the whole game. And they got the other 2 groups fighting with each other and then came up from the bottom and took it. In this case, it's a group of 4 who has a couple of people on their side that they're hanging on to. So it's really a group of 6, but it's a group of 4 inside the group of 6, and that's it. And it's looking like a march to the end for those guys, which is fine. I like them. They're fine. Dee and Julie and Drew and Austin, great, awesome. If one of those 4 win, fine, but not exciting. Sometimes the best strategically played games aren't exciting. So a lot of times, but the producer tried to throw a big twist at the episode, and it made it exciting for a few minutes, but ultimately went back to and actually made it less exciting at the end because the right people had their votes. Everybody from original Reba had their votes, and they're the ones in charge of the game. So if what happened where Julie and Dee lost their vote, or Drew and whoever lost their vote, if Austin doesn't get his vote back, it still probably doesn't matter because they still have 3 of the 4 are voting. But the fact that Austin got his vote back and all 4 of them had their votes and only 7 people were voting, it didn't matter where anybody else went anyways. Because if all 4 of them had their votes, only 3 other people can vote anyways. So if it wasn't 6-1, it would have been 4-3 and still would have been the same way. So, not amazing episode. It was a lot. Yeah, another episode with much ado about nothing, and I'm starting to fear that the first couple episodes of the merge were good. There was a couple of good episodes before the merge, leading up to the merge, and as per the last 5 seasons, really boring first couple of votes. Okay, on the merge, or in this case swap. Pretty solid merge and early post merge, and then from the final 7-8 on, it's a snooze fest. Obviously with Jesse and Cody, a couple seasons ago, that was at least interesting because they turned on each other, and that was a big move by Jesse, and Jesse was kind of on the game, but got knocked out by the end, right in the Susan Gabler one. So it was like, there's not been enough lately good players. Everybody's just trying to survive and get to the end because the players who've been surviving getting to the end have been winning. And it's a problem. It's a big problem. And nobody wants to make a move because they make a move they get taken out because they're the only one who's making a move because they're not people who know the game well enough or are good enough for the game. They say they want to have all this unique casting and all these casting other people from different walks of life. Great, I like that, but get people to know the game. Because I feel like nobody really knows the game. Most of the cast is there just to not lose. They're trying to hang on, and then the producers have to add stuff to the game, randomness to the game, to make it exciting because the players don't know what they're doing, right? And make it more difficult, whatever. But the players aren't good enough for the basics. So how are we going to make it more difficult? The ones who are the ones who are making moves, who are know the game at all, are getting voted out by the twist and the randomness. The randomness knocks out the good players. So it's been it's setting up to be another run-of-the-mill average, below average season. We'll see how the last couple episodes go, but I'm not thrilled about it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the next. There's only like three episodes or 4 episodes left of the season, so we'll see how it finishes. But so far, not so great. It's starting to turn back to the boring, home stretch. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and bring Jessica for the Amazing Race talk. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Let's go ahead and start with, obviously, we're talking about the Survivor. Let's go ahead and start with the Amazing Race here. Talk about this week, and what we'll do is we'll break down the episode and then kind of do our quick power rankings here at the end of who's left and what we're thinking of everybody who's left in the game. We're down to 6 after this week, right?
Yes.
Down to 6, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive on in, shall we?
We shall.
All right, so, actually, we're down to 5 even this week, are we?
I think so. I don't know.
Let's try to think.
Yeah, we're down to
down to
5
five
after
now.
this
Yeah,
one,
okay. Yeah, even crazier. But I said the thing that 5 left are the 5 with the best shot of winning.
Yeah.
And even the team who got eliminated had one a week. But obviously, I didn't really see them winning.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't either, to be honest. But
Right.
let's go ahead and talk about the week the episode that happened, and where do we start?
So they're continuing in Sylvania. They apparently have no leg for this money. No money for this leg, which I don't really know why they announced that, I guess.
Yeah, usually they give them something to so they can pay tax, whatever. But in this case, they're all self-driving. They need gas if they're screwed. I don't know, but
I guess, I don't know.
I don't know.
Nothing they did actually needed the money.
No, and actually, I thought their first task they were going to get money and then they could use that for the rest of the leg, because they're like quote unquote selling that stuff, whatever. But they really weren't.
Yeah. No.
Anyways.
Well, first was the roadblock, who can deliver the goods. One team member had to go to an area and learn how to attach wooden kitchen like wares to a backpack and make a delivery across, the area. It didn't seem that far, but all they had to do was look at the example. They didn't get to see how any of it was attached or anything, and everything had to be in its place, so you didn't want anything to fall or anything before you delivered it.
Yep. And most people had to fall and everything like that, but for the most part, it wasn't too.
Only a couple, really, and then only one person forgot an item.
Yeah.
Robin.
Chelsea.
I believe it was Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea. I keep mixing their names up.
Yep.
Anyways, and then from the roadblock, they got their next clue that they had to descend into the undergrounds and trying to remember exactly, because I'm mixing it up with the last episode, I feel like.
So they had to go down in the cave.
Yeah.
And then
okay, and then they do the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's why I was like, I thought, I don't know why. Stuff all blends together.
Yeah.
So to go down to the cave and find their clue, then they had their next, I guess, roadblock, would you say?
I think
Or task, I guess.
Task, yeah.
Their task where they had to build an IKEA dragon, basically. In the bottom of this cavernous area.
Yeah, it was really. They said the whole cave itself was like 8 football fields long.
Yes, yeah, it is.
And then they got to basically on the summit, or what do you want to call it, of the cave, the bottom of the cave,
Belly of the cave,
and then they'd build a dragon.
Yep.
And they had the guy all dressed up who approved her
the
to
dungeon master,
in essence.
Yes.
And then they had to go back up out the cave.
Yes, and they got their next task, or their next detour clue. So from there, the detour was either scrape off, where they had to take chains, clean 2 rings of like metal poles, barnacles off of them, so until they are spotless. But yeah, they never checked that hard. Or swap out, where the teams have to kayak to a buoy that is labeled. First, they have to bring another buoy with them to get that buoy, take the mussels, and then replace the buoy out. Swap it out for where they got it and bring the stuff back. They had to do that, 2 of them. Twice. And I guess dive into the problems that happened in that point.
Yeah, so what happened there, obviously Chelsea and them got a little behind because...
Chelsea were very behind.
Got right behind because she dropped an item or didn't realize she forgot an item, and had to go all the way back. And you can't really go fast because you get that thing in your back, then stuff's going to fall off if you go too fast. It's kind
Every
of
team said
crawling.
they wanted to run, and then they wouldn't run.
Yeah.
They really couldn't run.
So then you get to the detour, and what happened there?
So at the detour, of course, John and Greg got there first. They were pretty much leading the pack most of the way. Rob and Corey got there second, and they both decided to do swap out, and Greg and John were basically done. Rob and Corey got their first buoy, but did not read their clue and didn't realize you had to bring a buoy out, swap it out, and also take the mussels. So they majorly screwed up on their swap out detour. Tried to recover, and they couldn't find where they found the other one, which I kept saying, can they just skip that one since it's already done? But I don't know, maybe they would have said no.
I don't know.
And decided to switched to the scrape off detour. But when they got to the scrape off detour, Steve and Annalie were already finishing that one and leaving that one.
Yes.
So they jumped
Mm-hmm.
way ahead of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
It was very frustrating.
And then what did Garrett and Joel do? Remember?
They did the buoys also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did swap out. And then Robin and Chelsea did scrape off. I feel like I'm forgetting a team.
Yeah.
Todd and Ashley.
Todd and Ashley.
They also did a scrape off.
They did.
But they did not read where the chains were and were all over the place.
Yeah, they were looking for their chains. They couldn't find it. They were looking and...
They were really messing up, too, this episode.
They did. They got really lost. They missed a turn, and it was they put them way behind as well.
Yes, they did. I'm trying to remember, though, what Robin and Chelsea did.
They really
They did the muscles.
I think they did.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
What happened after the detour?
They got their pit stop information and had to drive... I think it was, drive to the pit stop, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we watched them drive. And that was basically just by the water, like on a hill over by the water. Yep. From what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's pretty much what happened, yeah. So, what was the order? Sorry, give me the top four.
Greg and John.
Again, they won, this is their fourth straight.
It is.
Yeah, and they've won, some money and a couple of trips.
And there were lots of jumping, because after this, it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Joel and Garrett actually jumped to second place.
Yeah, so they actually left, I think, in third, and then passed Steve and Annalie at the
They did at the buoy. To get to the pit stop. I think Steve and Annalie got lost.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, because they're asking for directions, and the guys already passed them.
True,
so
that's what happened.
They just didn't make up the time.
Correct, yeah, that's right. The guys drove past them when they stopped to ask for directions, and Garrett and Joel being guys didn't stop and ask for directions. They just got there first.
Yeah, but usually that does not happen. That is not usually the case. So don't even give them that credit because they're guys and didn't ask for directions. Right. Normally that's not what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyways, and then who finished third?
Steve and Annalie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rob and Corey are fourth.
Yeah, so Rob and Corey.
They fell from second to fourth.
Yeah, and they said they completed the scrape off task pretty quick. I feel like that was probably the easier task, honestly. I didn't really think it would be.
More straightforward task. And they don't check that hard.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that because you read the clue and you think, okay, well, it's got to be spotless, and it's what they tell you, but, like, they're not going to go underneath and look. They're just going to look around what they can see on the sides.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it was and they got it done pretty quickly. If they would have, I think if they would have made their mistake on the kayaking with the buoy.
Yeah.
I think they would have finished second or had shot first, but they messed that up and they had to go switch tasks. And at that point, they were pretty much no chance they were going to finish in the top 2 or 3.
Didn't read directions. A bunch of people didn't read directions this week.
Certainly.
Not the week to do that.
Certainly. And so one team finished, so they finished fourth. Another team finished fifth, and the last team the second week in a row was way behind.
Yeah.
So who finished fifth?
Were they way behind?
Yes.
Todd and Ashley finished
fifth.
I mean, they also just messed up and weren't reading their clues or anything else.
They messed up a lot. And then Robin and Chelsea got done, and they decided to go for a quick swim because they knew they were...
Yeah, they knew they were done, so they just enjoyed themselves.
And the sun had already set when they arrived, so you could tell it was quite a bit different.
Yeah. That's why I was just reading the one thing I saw online. It says that they head out to retrieve mussels knowing how far behind they are. They decide to enjoy the last day and go for a swim. Yeah. They basically just hang out until they decide to go in there.
Yeah, and the thing is with them is, the only reason that they were really far behind, Ashley and Todd were, I think they were near the top or at least middle of pack, third maybe. Yeah. And they had a really, really bad day and fell down to fifth.
Yeah, they were either third or second last week.
Yeah. And they had a really, really bad day and fell down to fifth, and still were significantly ahead of Chelsea and Robin because
they got lost.
That's what I mean. If they just did a normal, if the only chance Robin and if let me put it this way, Steve and Annalie or Garrett and Steve and Annalie and Garrett and Joel were the two that were the closest to Chelsea and Robin to start, and they did really well. So if they messed up, then Chelsea and Robin had a chance.
Right.
But since the team who was way ahead of them messed up, they fell down, or still had enough of a lead to not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like Rob and Chelsea did anything that terrible. I mean, the mistake on the one thing cost them. On the first task cost them, but they could have maybe made that up had the other teams who were ahead of them, or at least not, the two that were closest to them had a bad week. But those guys actually jumped.
I don't even think that's the one that cost them that much. They couldn't find the cavern.
Yeah.
Because they passed the exit and she didn't listen to her, and then they went to a different place because she said it wasn't a campground. They went to a different campground, had to ask directions, had to go back. I mean, that was their time suck.
As well. But for sure. And I think both of those things hurt them. I agree. And I think if it was, like I said, if one of the teams who were like directly ahead of them were the ones who had a bad week, fine. But the teams who had the lead,
yeah,
like Robin, Corey, and Ashley and Todd.
If any of them struggled, but by the time they even got to the dragon thing, they were pretty much gone at that point too. So that's why I mean they were really behind just because of that stuff.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean if the the two other than them, the teams who had the worst week were Robin, Corey, and Todd and Ashley, and they were second and third.
Yeah.
So like they had room to fall.
Clues.
They had room to fall. That's what I'm saying. And so that the teams who were closest to them had a good week. Teams who were far ahead of them had a bad week, and not bad enough to make up the difference.
Yeah.
Read your clue for sure. Communicating, all that is important, like you said. But I don't think that was really what hurt Chelsea and.
No, that wasn't what hurt them. I was saying Robin, Corey, and Todd and Ashley.
Oh yeah, for sure. That definitely hurt them.
Their stuff. Rob and Corey finished the dragon thing second, and could have finished the other thing second or first.
Yeah.
And actually, it got ahead of people, but they didn't read their clue.
Yep, it hurts. It hurts, and like I said, thankfully for them, they had enough room to maneuver because they had enough of a lead on the other teams.
Yeah, they still fell behind, not all the way to the bottom.
Right. Exactly. And so, what did Robin and Chelsea do wrong?
I think we just talked about this.
We did.
They got to lost, didn't listen to each other, didn't pay attention to some of the tasks. It's all Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then all Robin with the driving.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all true. I think the only other thing I would say is I felt like once they fell behind, they kind of gave up a little bit.
Just accepted it.
Yes, because
Chelsea did that a lot more.
Mm-hmm. They said our kids are gonna see that there's no way we're gonna compete with those athletes up and which I guess is true because Greg and John are they're in great shape. They're smart. They're really well rounded. But Rob is not in great shape. I mean, Corey is. Steve and Annalie you could catch. I mean, they were ahead, but you could catch them. But they were older. They were kind of like, we had a good run, and I think if they really, really, crushed it and gave their best, and maybe they could have made up time. I think they were still pretty far behind, so I don't know if they would have, but it definitely seemed like they kind of sort of accepted that they weren't going to win and let it happen.
Yeah.
Is that wrong or no?
Yes, I still want to agree, though, about the athletics. You have to know things to do this. You can't be an athlete and stupid.
No, I agree.
You got to be able to figure it out.
I mean, I said they're just better. They're good at the tasks, I guess. They're good at a lot of the challenges.
Yeah.
And that's more what I mean as far as the athletic stuff goes. And they said that, that those other teams were way better than them, and they, understand that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with every time something went wrong, they started to give up. Mm-hmm. At least I feel like Chelsea was the one that always started to give up and just not try and push. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, oh, well, so that it was a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. So, of the 5 teams left now, I think there's only like 3 weeks left of the show. I think they're only doing 12 episodes.
There should be,
Because they're 10, 11, and 12.
They only had one continuation. They're not going to have another one that's a non-continuation.
I don't think so, yeah.
Christmas coming.
Right, exactly. So it's going to be, I think we'll get down to 4 next week, and then 3, and then the finale. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So, of the 5 teams left, who do you think is the 5th best team left? I could go a couple ways here. You can tell me.
Probably Joel and Garrett. Or are you going to switch everything around?
No.
No, I don't know.
I would say Joel and Garrett are probably the least likely to win and have the best chance to go out next.
Yeah.
I would say. Just for the fact that they're a little bit older. They're still good. They're still doing a good job. But I think they're kind of just, I think they're kind of, like I said, Chelsea and Robin kind of ran out of gas, figuratively. I feel like these guys are kind of on the same spot. I think they're pushing. They're doing good. They're working hard. But again, there's so little room for error, and I think that they're, I can see any of these 5 winning though. I really can. I can see any of these 5 winning. I just think they're the least likely.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
My apologies if you hear Bailey licking himself. He just, doesn't really care about the show. He's just kind of licking himself over it. Well, at least the cats are behaving this time. They usually are running around like psychos. Yes, we got another cat, by the way. Yes, we did. Woo!
Yeah, they're just relaxing.
Exactly. So who would you say is the 4th best team?
I don't know. I cannot actually see Todd and Ashley moving down to 4th.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a lot more careless.
Yeah. I don't know. It could go either way. I'm between them and Steve and Annalie.
Yeah.
I could see either or. Todd and Ashley to me are, I've said before, they're the 3rd place losers for sure. I see them getting, they get to the final, they get to the finish line like 6 hours after the team who finished 2nd.
Right.
And so it's like, congratulations, you finished the race. You're team number 3, blah, blah, blah. And that's it.
Yeah.
I can see them also going next week, though, too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm almost at the point where I think they have a worse shot of winning than Steve and Ellie.
Because they're getting careless.
Yeah, so they made a lot of dumb mistakes, and they haven't reading their clues. And like I said, they've been doing decently on the tasks, but they're not like, they said the communication isn't great. And they made a lot of dumb mistakes.
And I'd say their communication's better than Steve and Annalie, but...
True. I don't know. I could go either way on them.
Yeah.
I think for the sake of the finale, if they go out next or the week after,
yeah,
I think it's better. Because to me, they're the team who, again, has no chance of winning, but somehow makes it to the finale.
Yeah.
And once in a while, that team actually wins, which is annoying.
Yeah.
But, they have no chance of winning. They didn't win any legs, and they get to the end, and they, finish 3rd. Distantly 3rd. I don't like that. I'd rather have 3 and to go to the finale. A couple years ago, we were in the finale and there's 3 teams who all had a good shot to win, and they all were kind of in the same. They're all kind of peaking at the same time. They all were. I think it was the last All-Star season they had, when they had all the former Amazing Race teams coming back, with the Afghanimals and Tyler and Corey, and then Colin and Christy. I think there were 3 teams where you could easily see any of the 3 winning. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see that this season as opposed to a team who just kind of takes space, which I think is unfortunately Todd and Ashley.
Yeah.
But you never know. So 3 or 4, however you want to rank them. I would put Steve and Annalie in the other spot.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Why them?
I don't know. I don't want them anywhere near this spot, but...
I know.
Gotta put them somewhere.
I know. I think their communication's really bad. This past episode, if you noticed, they didn't really bicker at all. They just had a lot of fun. Yeah. And they did really good.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to that.
Maybe
if you have fun on the race, again, some people need to be serious. Some people need to have a little more fun. I think Annalie needs to have fun, and Steve can be the serious one.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it should be.
Yeah.
Some teams, like Team Fun, if you remember them,
yes,
they were only having fun.
Too much fun.
And you need to have somebody step up and say, hey, let's be serious.
Yeah.
Right? And, I think in this case, they need somebody to keep them on track. And when Annalie's trying to keep them on track, it's bad. Because she's pushing Steve, she's, kind of being in control and rude, and it's not helpful. Yep. Whereas if Steve's in control, he can kind of lead, and just if she just has fun, I think they'll be better off. If she's just the one who's having fun and doing the tasks and do as many tasks as she can, they'll do better because she's obviously way more fit than he is. He's a lot older, so if he can kind of be the guide and she can be the one who does the work, if he can be the foreman and she can be the laborer, I think it'll be a lot better for them. But I don't know if Annalie will let that happen long enough to let them win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think she wants to be the cook, and not just and she wants to be the the chief. If you want to, if you'll take that analogy, and doesn't want to won't let someone else take control to her own detriment. For sure.
Yeah.
Final two teams left, or final two on our rankings. Who's second? Would you say?
Rob and Corey.
I agree.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they have a good shot. I think they can definitely win. It's gonna be one of those things where if they have another chance, if there's another, U-turn or anything like that, I think it'll be helpful.
Although we put them here, but they've never won a leg. They finished second, I think. I
thought they won one. Maybe we won one, but maybe. But it's been the last four have been won by John and Greg. So
that's also the kiss of death, though, too. So
what's that?
Usually winning all that in a leg at the very end, something.
Absolutely. It's because it's a lot of averages. You're eventually gonna have you can't win that many legs and then not have something eventually go wrong, and you want to get your bad leg out of the way when there's like 12 teams left, when there's like 8 teams left.
Oh, right.
You know, like for example, Todd and Ashley had a really bad leg. Are they a great team? No. So I can see them going out. Mm-hmm. But if I'm John and Greg and I have a bad leg when I have a huge advantage and there's teams behind me who aren't that good, then I'd rather have my bad leg then when I have time to make it up later, as opposed to you may have a bad leg when there's 4 teams left. You're in trouble. Mm-hmm. So, but I think if something happens, if John and Greg have a major mess up and they knocked out next week, I'd say the best shot to win would be instantly become Corey and Rob.
Yep.
And again, they communicate well. They haven't had any issues, getting along. The only real issues they have is, again, once in a while that Rob gets a little winded on some of the tasks or whatever, or they don't read their clue.
So I've never even seen that being a problem, though.
I mean,
with getting winded, or because they really never show that.
They got behind on the express pass, going for the express pass.
Well, yeah, but anybody would have. It would have taken everybody a little bit of time, maybe not as long. But that leg wasn't even their problem. They still finished second that week.
Yeah.
They said they did the cavern this week, and they didn't show that they were struggling or falling behind because of that, mostly because they're descending down. Mm-hmm. But even going back up, they still were second to get there.
So the good news is
I agree with the athletic part of this.
The good part is the express pass is available for them still. One more episode.
To use it.
So they should, again, it's always a question when to use it, right? I mean, you don't know what's coming next. So if you see a task, the first part of that task is like pretty easy or something you think you can do, do it, because save it for as late. The later you use the express pass, the better.
Usually the detour's more involved.
Usually.
Than the roadblock.
Usually. So, and then especially with roadblock, one person feels like they can do it, let them do it.
Right.
And then you can use the express pass on the detour, and if the detour's first, and then whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you use it right before the end, the only thing you don't want to do is do what Lena and Morgan did.
Waste it.
And waste it because you tried a task, you got halfway through and realized you couldn't do it, and then you had to use the express pass. Make the decision right away. Hey, if it's something we can do, we'll do it. If not, we're going to use our express pass. And then you go on to the last task, which hopefully you can do. Or, if you can save it, the later you save it in the episode, the better. Because you don't want to use it and then have a terrible task the next time, and now you're just wasted it. If you can get through the task and do decent at it, even if you're finished second or third, going through the first task, use it on the second task, jump ahead of everybody, and you should win first.
Yeah. They wasted on something that was time consuming, but they weren't last. So
right.
They should have just did it.
Right, absolutely. And they could have used it on the second half of the leg.
Right. Which
is what you ideally like to do.
Yes.
For sure. So that's where everybody stands. Obviously, Greg and John still dominating. We'll see how they do. If ask me to put money on it right now, I'd say they win. Mm-hmm. Just because how well they've been doing. But again, I don't see them running the rest of it. Not losing, not finishing outside of first the rest of the way. So they're bound to finish second, third, or even lower at some point. So the question is, when is that going to be, and how far do they fall? It's hard to go that far with having any mistakes or any mess ups. So. Yeah. We will see, but that won't be till next week.
I don't watch it anymore. I don't care.
Yeah. You want Rob and Corey to win. You would get really emotional about them. You really want them to win.
I do. They're just awesome.
Well, they are awesome. And it said we haven't. Last time we rooted for a team this hard was who?
Holderness.
Exactly, and that worked out.
It did. So. That was too nerve-wracking, though, too.
Exactly,
so.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But also, we never have things go our way. So
yeah, well.
The teams we want to win never win, or players in Survivor or whatever.
Let's just say you have more than I do. We can talk about sports and anything else.
Yeah, fair enough.
Done with it all.
Exactly.
No more.
Well, hopefully Rob and Corey win for you.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Sweet. Anything else?
No.
Cool. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadprod. Email the show pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. That's pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. I don't have any friends either, so tell your friends so they can be my friends. Anything else?
No.
No?
No.
Cool. Well, I know one thing. You know what it is, right?
Yeah.
I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.
Safe travels.